My 13th year of teaching, it was my last year at Harris High. I had a former student murdered by another former student December of 2016, and I had another student murdered 3 months later, March of 2017. That was very hard. It wasn't until the death of the second student I didn't realize that I did not grieve the first death. Life was lifing. I was dealing with certain school leaders who were not called, who really should not have been leaders. That's when you know when someone is that task driven and task oriented, they looking at you like basically near death on the floor, grieving, mourning, and they just like, get up, you got work to do.
Today on Pop Talk, we're sitting down with the man who spent over 20 years on the front lines of education, shaping minds, breaking barriers, and collecting stories you honestly can't make up. J.K. Lynch is a Virginia native, a respected former teacher, and the author of the new book, You Can't Make This Stuff Up, Stories of a Tired Former Teacher. After 2 decades of teaching and mentoring and leading in the Richmond, Virginia area, he stepped into a new season, one filled with reflection, laughter, and lessons that hit home for educators, parents, and anyone who's ever tried to make a difference. From the classroom chaos to powerful life lessons, JK brings honesty, humor, and heart to every story he tells. Trust me, you're going to laugh, you're going to learn, and probably see your favorite teacher in a whole new light. Let's jump into it. My conversation with JK Lynch. JK Lynch, welcome to the Pop Talk podcast, where we exist solely to eradicate fatherlessness. My man is in the building. You just wrote a book, brother.
Yes,
you
sir.
Just wrote a book.
Yes, sir.
Man, you just wrote a book, brother.
Yes,
it's called
sir.
You Can't Make This Up. Stories from a tired former teacher. You was tired, brother?
Tired ain't the word.
Man, 20 years in the class. 20 years in the classroom. What's one moment that captures both the beauty and the chaos of teaching?
Taught a kid, T-Mac. He is in my dedication. T-Mac sat up here, taught him 2 years, 2 different classes, massive pain in the tail, second year. But I saw him some years later before his oldest son was born. And he was telling me, he said, man, I get it now. He said, you were trying to teach me that life isn't about just me. And it was just like that conversation we had. Yeah. Man, I felt like, man, I can quit teaching now because this dude validated my whole career. It didn't matter what certificate I got. Like just that knucklehead that comes back and was just like, you know what, you were right. And thank you for being hard on me. Like, I appreciate it. You appreciate that.
The sweetest pat on the back is just running into that student years down the road. That brother had a whole child, right? He's with his family. And then you know, because you never know if you're making an impact. I could imagine as a teacher, you wonder, man, I'm standing up in this classroom five days a week. Am I making any type of difference?
You think that more times than not. And then what happens is you have like those divine moments where you end up running into a former student or a friend of a student and like, I heard about you. You were this, and this. You like, okay. Well, I'm glad my reputation precedes me in the right way.
Right. That's good stuff, man. Shout out to TK. If you watching this, brother, hey, blessings. And so your background, when you first started out in college, you started out in computer science, right? And then you made a shift to education. What pulled you towards teaching, right? Nobody wants to teach. The pay ain't there. You got to put up with those kids, right? Somebody else's kids. Was it a calling?
I believe that it was. Computer science was something that if I really gave myself over to it, I would have done well because that was the type of worker that I was. I mean, I hate calculus, but got an A in the class. So teaching was that thing that I felt like a duck to water. And I I just felt that I could connect with the kids and get them to understand different things, life, key concepts. It was a vibe, that was something I couldn't feel sitting there trying to type, thousands of lines of code. No shade at the computer scientists and the programmers out there. They were some of my buddies in college, but no, that wasn't my world. That wasn't my call.
Wow. Sliced it again. Woo! That was a beauty. Stop playing with me. What's happening? I'm Uncle Him out here working on my golf handicap. Speaking of cap, this one right here ain't just style. It's a statement. Repping fatherhood with pride and purpose, baby. And a little slice to the left. Grab yours with my link right here. Or right here, 15% off. Chelsea, where you putting the link at, man? You can't be having me out here looking all crazy. In your book, You Can't Make This Stuff Up, you balance hilarious stories and you do it so well. Your pen game is strong, brother. Your pen game is strong. You balance hilarious stories with real heartbreak. Why was it important to show both sides of the classroom?
We live in a very volatile time. We live in a very hard time where, teachers, scientists, doctors, they're like public enemy number one. And I wanted to get people to have a different type of conversation, one where they laugh, but they're also thinking. And, comedy sometimes helps knock that wall down if you have a receptivity and a willingness to laugh and to listen.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Put a little sugar in there with it, right? Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. 20 years in the classroom. At some point, you had to experience some sort of burnout. You hit a wall of some sort. Tell me about your lowest moment as a teacher and how did you push through?
My 13th year of teaching, it was my last year at Harris High. And I had a former student murdered by another former student, December of 2016. And I had another student murdered 3 months later, March of 2017.
Not died of a sickness, they were murdered.
Both guys were murdered. And that was very hard. It wasn't until the death of the second student, I didn't realize that I did not grieve the first death. And it was that thing of life was lifing. I was dealing with certain school leaders who were not called, who really should not have been leaders, who lacked compassion, lacked empathy, were very results driven of, we got to get the test scores up. And as a teacher, I did not have that grace to grieve. My kids did not have that grace to grieve. They had one afternoon. They had one afternoon to go to the library and cry it out. And then after that, it was back to, business as usual.
Yeah.
What helped me get through was great family, great friends, but also a huge drive to get out of an environment like that. That's when when someone is that task driven and task oriented, they looking at you like basically near death on the floor, grieving, mourning, and they just like, get up, you got work to do.
Oh man.
You're just like, I can't even have 5 minutes. That's when you know it's time to go.
Wow. That grind of school, that 9 to 10 month grind of school, that train is not stopping. It's definitely not stopping for grief, right? No. You have state mandates, you have tests to take, and there's no, like you said it, there's no room to grieve. Oh man, that has to be hard. That has to be hard. Man, you taught, over the course of 20 years, thousands of kids. What's the one lesson you learned from your students that no textbook could have ever prepared you for?
The one lesson I learned from my kids was, I guess the most important thing was to keep being me, because sometimes we're our own worst critics. So I remember I would tell the kids often, y'all deserve a much better teacher. And this is where they were being sincere, but it was hurtful at the same time, where they'd be like, we don't want a good teacher, we want you. And it's just like, I appreciate that. That sounds very bad, but I appreciate what you're saying. But I get what you're saying. So it was the fact of the biggest lesson they taught me was you are enough.
You are enough. That's awesome. Man, one of my favorite stories from your book, and it says a lot about you. There was this young lady who would always bring food into the room, and she brought some food from home, and you said, man, next time give me a plate or something to the essence of that. And she actually did. She brought you some food. That was cool. I was like, man, you got kids bringing them food. You know he making an impact on them. You know they favorite
definitely.
teacher. Yeah, that's good stuff. When they bring you a plate, right? You invited to the
That's when you
cookout.
love.
Yeah, you love them, boy. I love it. I love it. You served on Virginia Pilot's committee for teaching African American history. How did that experience shape the way you saw your role as an educator?
Oh my gosh. 2020, George Floyd had been murdered, and I'm sitting here and I'm seeing the world as a whole. They're like, I'm reading more and I'm trying to absorb Black history. And I was like, okay, this is great for the adults. We got to pour into the kids. So when that opportunity came, I was like, let's do it. And my principal at the time, she was like, you have my blessing, but you got to teach Latin American history too. So I love teaching the African American history, the Latin American history as well. And just pouring into the kids. Like my highlight, and I talk about it in the book, was one of the first students to integrate Mashantucket was one of my guest speakers during that hybrid year. And like that was like 20 years of teaching. That was like my favorite lesson ever.
Is it needed? You know, I'm looking at the headlines, and the current administration is slashing education department civil rights staff, right? They're slashing the budget for DEI, and is it important to teach African American history in the classrooms?
Well, I love what somebody said. It's American history. I think that the problem is that when you want to teach history through a very limited and myopic lens and not the whole lens, I think that there's a problem there. Like the fact that we do a disservice to our disabled community. And we don't talk a lot about like disabled Americans who contributed to the American tapestry. And we don't talk about a lot of Asians who contributed to the American tapestry. So I think that African American history is definitely vital, but I feel like we definitely need to do a more inclusive in what we teach. And I know inclusivity can be a bad word depending on what circle you're in, but you need to show that America was not just 1776 and those dudes sitting around that table. American history is so much.
Absolutely.
You know, so much.
Dead gain alert, dead gain alert. Listen, if you're a father who shows up, stands tall, and leads with love, this one right here is for you. Listen, fatherhood isn't some side hustle. All right, get that out your head. It's a calling, and the Dead Gang Cap says it loud and proud. I teamed up with Dead Gang to hook you up with 15% off. The link is in the description below. Make sure you grab it. All right, you don't want to miss out on this one. This one is crazy right here, gentlemen. All right, whether you're buying it for yourself or buying it for your father, whether you're buying it for yourself or whether you're buying it for the father that you love, this is more than a cap. It's a statement. It's confidence. It's culture. It's Dead Gang, 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 gang. All right. So don't wait till Father's Day to sneak up on you. Don't wait till his birthday. Don't wait for Christmas. All right. Cop yours right now and wear fatherhood with honor. I know I am. Back to the show. You stepped away from the classroom, and man, 20 years in the classroom teaching our youth, man, salute to you, man. I say it all the time. Teachers are rock stars, man. You guys are batting 1,000, serving our youth. You stepped away from the classroom. What do you miss most? And also, there's a caveat to that question. What do you never want to go back to?
I talk about this a little bit in the book. One of the tasks I hated most was the first day of school, trying to get a teenage kid to tell you what their name was so you could take roll. and just really the first day of school, because they don't want to be there. You have your butterflies because you want it to be a great year, and you just have like those two worlds clashing. They're like, do I hate this teacher? A lot of kids would tell me over the years, they were like, you look mean, but you're really a nice man. So like always coming up on that the first day of school, of them being like, yo, I got him, man, I don't want to deal with him. So
and then you win them over.
I win them over very quickly. A lot of times it's my opening syllabus. Like when I start 25 minutes into the class, they're like, I like him.
That's what's up.
The thing that I miss the most is the camaraderie with the teachers and staff, where we were fighting for the kids together. We were like front line, like, yeah, I might have a problem with you, but at the end of the day, these kids are more important. And we can unify long enough to deal with the goal of educating and empowering these kids to be bigger and better than what the media says that they are.
That's powerful. That is powerful. Just giving those kids hope and letting them see that, listen, there's more to this, right? Mm-hmm. There's more to the labels that are being placed in front of you, that's being put on your forehead, taped to your forehead. Yes. There's more to you. You have potential. Man, untapped potential. Man, I went through this book. I listened to the audio version of it because it's on Audible as well. And so I'm an Audible guy. I don't know, some people don't think that audio books are books, but I do. But it's not just a book for teachers. That's what that's where I landed. This book isn't just for teachers. What do you want parents, and more specifically, what do you want fathers? This is the Pop Talk podcast. Yes. What do you want fathers listening to this podcast to understand about what their kid face in the classroom every day?
Well, the biggest thing I want fathers to understand is your presence is vital. When a father is active in the school environment, that child is more successful. When there's that partnership between the father and the teacher, or the father and the administration, you're not gonna have as many problems, and you're not enabling the kids. You have joined forces and said, I'm joining forces with the school to make sure you are the best you possible. The other piece that I would say to fathers is talk to your kids. Those 4 years of high school are like the final opportunity and the most pivotal times. Find out who they like, find out who they're friends with, find out the favorite teacher, converse, don't lecture, converse with your kids, because I promise you, they're going to take those conversations. That's what's going to help them, because this is what I saw as a teacher. I knew that parents were doing their job when I saw those kids basically preaching to their peers. Like they would be sitting there doing C-word, and they would be like, man, you shouldn't be messing with that girl because of blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I see somebody parent raised them right. Those people shouldn't be your friends, blah, blah, blah. I see your parents raised you right, because you could see whose parents were imparting and whose kids were listening, whose parents were conversing versus yelling. Because that's how you saw the conversations in the classroom become pivotal. The kids would start to impact each other. Yeah.
Talking about kids impacting, right? If you could talk directly to a young man that you taught and he's considering teaching, what would you tell him?
You need to be called to do this. It is not easy. It is something that is going to, I know that the new age thing is I leave my laptop at work. If you're invested in the lives of those kids, it's going to be very hard for you to leave it at 3:45 or whenever your school day ends. Because I promise you, if you're invested, you're going to be showing up at games, AAU games. You're going to be showing up at ceremonies and things like that. So you got to be willing to take on that commitment. You may not be lesson planning at home or grading at home, but get ready, buckle up, especially as a man of color. If you're going into the classroom, you're going to be pulled on in so many ways, being that surrogate dad, uncle, brother, to really empower and impact.
That's good. That's powerful. You better be called. You hear that? You better be called. Yes. All right. If you could sit down with your younger self, let's go back in time. Let's hop into the DeLorean. All right. You can sit down with your younger self on the first day of teaching. This is your very first day in the classroom. What advice would you give a young J.K. Lynch?
Being rigid is going, like, being so staccato about order and things like that are going to exhaust you very quickly.
Wow.
Give the kids the grace to be kids within proper borders.
Yeah.
But just also, when you feel, burnt and stressed, make sure you know how to step back. Use that sick day, that mental health day. Use that afternoon to go walk or go do something. Like, those pile of papers will wait, but just take care of you, mental, physical, and spiritual health. Take care of you. That's what I would love to go back and tell my younger self.
That's good. Take care of you. Slow down. Take a breath. All right. And so we went back in the past. Let's fast forward to the future.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
10 years from now, how do you hope your students, the readers of this book, you can't make this stuff up, as well as your former colleagues, how do you want them to remember J.K. Lynch, the teacher, the author, the man?
Wow. Teacher, I want those that I worked with to know that I cared about them. I was one of their biggest advocates, and I still am. I love when my former students reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, can you be my job reference?" Or, "Hey, I was thinking about you. Can you do this? Can you do that?" I love that. The readers, I would love for, hey, Netflix, Amazon, indie artists, y'all holler at a brother. You can't make this stuff up. This could be a good TV show, some good comedy, some good sketch comedy.
I agree. I will watch this. I will binge this for real. This is like 2025 hanging with Mr. Cooper. You know, man, everything is coming through your classroom. Man, you cover a gambit of stuff. I love it, man. I got some favorites. The guy that clenches his cheeks every time he has to poop and go to the bathroom and make this huge announcement and whatnot. Man, that was some great stories in there. The book is You Can't Make This Stuff Up. He's J.K. Lynch, man.
Yes.
Go out and grab it. Where can they connect with you? One, on social media, and two, where can they get the book?
You can email me at jklynchwrites@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram at ycmt.su. And you can see me live. I'm going to be selling my books at the North Chesterfield branch on November 15th. Come find me. And then also November 8th, I'll be in the Mechanicsville area. Just email me or hit me up on social media, and I'm happy to tell you where we're going to be meeting at.
Cool. You're on TikTok too, right?
I'm on TikTok.
You're on TikTok.
Mr. Lynch wrote a book, tells my journey, but also Uncle Lynch. I think it's Uncle Lynch 99.
Yeah.
That talks about why I left teaching and like other check-ins that I do with teachers. But yes, please get this book. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, Audible. I promise you, you're gonna
put the links. We'll put the links in the description below. Absolutely. This has been a real treat. We got to have you back. Right, because it's a lot going on in the education space that we need you to chime in on, and also equip these dads. Right, I just did one. I'm about to drop a video on my YouTube on the YouTube channel talking about just back to school, right, and how dads can be involved. You touched on it as far as like you can tell the difference in the kid whose dad is involved in his life versus that kid who dad is absent. And so, man, this has been a real treat, Mr. J.K. Lynch. Man, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for this awesome book. Thank you for your 20 years of service in the classroom and working in the school system. This has been truly a treat. They lost a good one. They lost a real one, right? But he got tired. Go out and get the book. Go follow him on social media. He got a lot of good stuff on the TikTok. I checked the TikTok page out, man. You got a lot of good stuff, man. We'd be glad to have you back. Thanks for joining us today, Mr. Lynch.
Y'all take care.